Hey guys, this is Sasha introducing Arca's NFT Creator Series. Today we have Kieran from Illuvium joining us for the first episode. Really excited to have Kieran on. He's been a friend of mine for, we'll call it a year now. So how are you doing today, first of all?
Doing really well. I'm super excited to be the first guest on your show, and yeah, it's a nice sunny day in Sydney today, so super happy.
There you go. So real quick, I just wanted to ask, people know you obviously as the co-founder of Illuvium, but how did you actually get started in NFTs? What brought you to the space and what kept you here?
So I started trading crypto back in 2015 when a lot of people started putting their eye on the space, and it didn't go so well for me in the early stages. I ended up losing a little bit of money. And so I ended up segueing away for a few years. And it wasn't until Kane, my brother and founder of Synthetics, his protocol started taking off, and he really implored me to start investing in the space again and just familiarizing myself with the different protocols, mainly around DeFi. And I did that for probably 6 months, went right down the rabbit hole, you know, the whole no sleep and just 24/7 market analysis. And I came across Axie Infinity, which was a huge game that had started a couple of years back, but it just started getting traction. And that's when I really got interested in NFTs and their use cases. And I started delving into it a little bit further, and I started seeing, the different collections and stuff out there. And so, yeah, so I guess midway through 2019 is when I started getting really interested in the space and NFTs in particular.
Very nice. And outside of gaming, what would you say is the most personally intriguing on your side?
Uh, so finance startups, I'm obsessed with. I love giving someone the opportunity to start something from nothing. And my ideal is in 15, 20 years, when I'm officially retired, I will be a VC on the side. I personally love seeing entrepreneurs out there with an idea and watching it come to fruition. There's nothing that excites me more than that. So I guess that's mainly what I'm interested in.
Awesome. And that's a pretty good dovetail. How do you think that NFTs have changed the landscape for not only creators but also, in your case gamers, but we can call them collectors or users. How do you think that the ownership of these assets has changed with the onset of non-fungible tokens being used as a wrapper?
Yeah, so I guess the creator economy was enhanced massively by Web 2, right? When the internet started expanding and people were able to expose, whether it be artwork, games, collections, anything that you can think of that people might want to digitally collect, there was this all of a sudden this huge platform. And then you started seeing different social media websites open up, and people like showing off what they've collected, what they're invested in, what they're interested in. And we've seen that with CryptoPunks and stuff like that. But actually allowing verifiable digital ownership on the blockchain that is yours and can be secured, it completely changes the game for things like plagiarism and stuff like that. All of a sudden, creators can make an artwork and create, let's call it 10 copies or 100 copies, or in some cases one of ones. And the person who is purchasing this knows it's verifiable it's 100% on chain, and you know that you are actually getting the official artwork that that person has created. How that can get even more advantageous using NFTs for the actual creator is you can have things like an ongoing revenue stream where you put an affiliate fee that sits inside the actual NFT, and any time that it's sold on the open market, a referral fee goes back to that creator. And so you're not necessarily getting, the upside of the sale every single time, but you're getting a small fraction that comes back to you. And I think that's a really cool way to again empower the creator, which is something that we should be trying to do across the board, right? Like if we're subduing these people and we're making it very hard for them to make a living out of it, then they're probably going to choose a different avenue to go about, making money in their life, which I think is, that's not advantageous for anyone. We need these creators out there building the things that are fun and things that we like to show off.
Yeah. And, in that respect, there has been, a lot of pushback outside of our community, skepticism around this just being a fad, or, the right click save, or,
JPEG.
Even going down the line of what's the point of owning a picture I can just go see, or what's the point of this, or it's pricing me out, this and that. What would you say to those skeptics across the board?
I mean, if you look at the art industry, right, when you get up to the level of art collectors that have, hundreds of millions of dollars of art in their collection, there's something to be said about knowing that it's 100% verified from that artist, right? Like if you have a Picasso and it's verified and you know that, and it's from the signature or any of the different grading procedures that they use to actually confirm that an artwork is real, compared to a print that you've just put up in your house, it's twofold, right? There's the first I guess advantage that you have is that you can actually verify and say that I did spend that $10 million, which meant a lot to you. But also you have the bragging rights to say, yeah, I actually, I actually do own a Picasso or whatever it is, in our case, a CryptoPunk, and there's only a finite amount of those in existence, right? And so that's why you see the pricing of a CryptoPunk or a CryptoKitty or any of these OG collections that have appeared keep on going up and up and up, because as more people enter the ecosystem of actually wanting whatever it is that they're after in these collections, there is only a certain amount, right? And so the same thing, would be said about these, is it a fad? It's only a fad while there isn't the demand there, right? And as we're seeing the demand go up and up and up of people who say, yeah, I do want verifiable ownership through the use of NFTs, as that demand grows, we're going to see that, over time, the whole right click save, I can just get the same CryptoPunk as you. It's that argument just won't hold up. I don't think.
Yeah. And I think that, it's pretty rudimentary now, but as this bottom up IP starts to build out, the financial benefits of owning the actual asset will start, it'll become much more clear along the lines, if Bored Ape Yacht Club has an associated like TV series or has, partnership products, these products are not going to go to the copy paste, pictures. They're going to go directly to the owner of the actual asset, and there's going to be a revenue stream, or there's going to be an agreement. And
absolutely,
that'll start to further solidify the value of owning the actual, because right now, owning the Mona Lisa or owning a copy of the Mona Lisa, the level of difference in that is not equal to the value difference of the print versus the actual. But in this case,
Mm-hmm.
you'll start to see a much more clarified value differential between owning the print versus owning the actual asset. So I
Yeah,
think it's very
if
important.
yeah, agreed. I mean, they proved that by bringing out the mutant ape collection, where if you owned one of the OG apes, then they would airdrop you a mutant ape. That and I think now those mutant apes are going for a ridiculous sum of money as well. And so then all of a sudden you bring in utility of these NFTs. It's like if I own this, then I'm going to get potentially another NFT or a fraction of another NFT that is, you know, and anything is possible when you can go back and verify that that person actually has ownership over that digital asset.
Yeah, and with NFT NYC, we kind of saw that a lot of these NFTs were being used as like VIP passes, right? You couldn't get into the party without the access to the NFT, or you couldn't go to the meet and greet. You know, like there was like secluded events that were siloed into these, what I would call, VIP passes. You know, you get an entrance into this private club. This, there's been private clubs and societies for forever, and these
For years, yeah,
are much more public, signifying that you are a part of that club. So I think it's very interesting, and all of it, is kind of in incubation right now. But where do you see the space going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see it exploding in growth, like very, very similar to what DeFi did. And I think, similarly, DeFi is in its infancy as well, but potentially even more so NFTs are, in that there are so many different use cases that the industry hasn't even touched yet. But it's also just really, really easy to understand. Whereas crypto typically is super complex. A lot of people find looking into, derivatives protocols and AMMs and even, centralized exchanges and all these different financial instruments. And they think this is just too opaque. It's too complex. I don't get it. And so I think the adoption of crypto is going to be a constant battle, an uphill battle, but one that I think, will reach mainstream adoption, probably not in the next 5 to 10 years. Where I think NFTs have the advantage is particularly in gaming, right? Like there's 3 billion gamers that are out there. And what we're starting to see with Play to Earn is that 3 billion mark is going up rapidly because we're seeing normal day-to-day people start playing these new style of games because they're earning more in gaming than their regular data, 9 to 5 jobs. And so in 5 to 10 years, I expect somewhere around 100 million people to enter the crypto space purely from NFTs and what they do, and particularly around gaming. There's so much opportunity. There's been, for so long now, literally decades, there have been games out there where the players have been demanding ownership, real world ownership of their assets. And I talk about like World of Warcraft and their economy and their gold system, where people are like meeting up on the street and, giving over bundles of cash for this digital currency. When there's a very high chance of you being scammed, of you being shot or killed, because it's real world money to these people, but there just never was a platform. I think with us creating this metaverse, which allows the onboarding of non-crypto native people and it to be so easy, I think it's inevitable that in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see some serious amounts of adoption coming from NFTs and gaming.
Yeah, I think the closest interaction you could probably get in the gaming sector was probably Steam Marketplace with like CS:GO, and where you can see it's directly for PayPal Cash, but there's an upper limit of, I think it was like $50. It's pretty.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I definitely remember doing some like RuneScape drops for PayPal, or like I was on Blizzard's like forum. I think it was for Diablo 2. I was on like Blizzard's forum post.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of us remember how painful it used to be. I think everyone's right now looking at the asset creation standpoint, or a lot, like I would say 90% plus of what's in this space right now are new assets that didn't exist before the NFTs enabled them to exist. I think my big play in the next 5 to 10 years would be something, more of a migration pattern of traditional assets that are non-fungible coming over into this space. And that severely changes the opportunity spectrum in this space, where, more people get comfortable with the NFT structure in of itself, and that kind of the net benefit for anything that's built under that structure. So in that sense, obviously we're all very excited for for what's to come. Where can people find out more about you and Illuvium?
So your best place to start is in the Illuvium Discord. I know you frequent in there pretty often, but yeah, that's where our information hub is. If you want to follow me, I'm a little bit crazy, but you can follow me on Twitter. I usually have some pretty fun stuff to say about the sector and the competition and on all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think for Illuvium purposes, definitely get added into the Discord. It's a really good place to start, and we have some super fun stuff coming out in the next couple of months in our land sale, and then our avatar sale, which is called Illuvatars. So all of that information you can find in our Discord.
Perfect. And one last question, because everybody has to know, what's the meaning of the hat? What's the symbol on the hat, and what does it mean?
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't actually know. I just saw it in a shop, and I'm not very big on, I guess, brands and stuff like that. My favorite shirt is this like hand painted Pokemon shirt. So yeah, if I see something I like, I buy it. I'll work out the brand. What do we got here?
We'll call it the Circle of Warwick.
It's called Well Done. It doesn't actually represent Warwick, but yeah, well done, Grant.
I'm rocking a little anti club going.
I saw that. I was like, damn it, where'd you buy that? I want to buy that shirt.
It's on Looks Rare. So shout out to Looks Rare, wherever they are.
Looks Rare.
Get the clothing.
I'm checking it out now.
That I paid for 100%. But thank you so much, Kieran. I appreciate the time.
No worries. No worries. Thanks, Sasha. Thanks for having me.
Take care.